There once lived a boy named Eli in the small town of Brookvale, known to everyone as the laziest boy around. From sunrise to sunset, he could be found lounging under the old oak tree, staring at the clouds as they drifted by. His room was always a mess, his schoolwork unfinished, and his dreams, well, he claimed he didn't have any. When people asked him what he wanted to be, he shrugged and said, "I'll figure it out later." His teachers called him unmotivated. His friends stopped inviting him to things because he never showed up, and even his parents had nearly given up trying to push him. Eli didn't mind at first. He thought the world was too noisy, too busy, too fast, and he convinced himself that doing nothing was peaceful, even smart. But as the years went by, that peace began to feel empty. One hot summer afternoon, while Eli dozed off under his favorite tree, an old man from the neighborhood named Mr. Rowan stopped by. Mr. Rowan was a retired carpenter, known for building beautiful furniture even in his 70s. He leaned on his cane and looked at Eli with a mix of amusement and concern. "You know, boy," he said, "that tree you're lying under wasn't always this big. I planted it 50 years ago. It was smaller than your arm." Eli looked up lazily and replied, "So what? Trees just grow on their own." Mr. Rowan chuckled softly. "No, they don't. You have to water them, protect them from wind, and prune them when they grow wild. It doesn't look like much day to day, but after years of care it becomes something strong, something that gives shade to dreamers like you." Then he walked away, leaving Eli in silence. That night, those words replayed in Eli's head. It doesn't look like much day to day. He wondered what would happen if he tried just a little every day. The next morning, for the first time in a long time, he woke up early. He decided to help Mr. Rowan with his woodwork. When he arrived, the old man smiled but didn't say a word. He handed Eli a broom. "If you want to learn to build something, start by cleaning the space you'll work in." It wasn't the grand beginning Eli imagined, but he swept anyway. His arms ached, his back hurt, and his mind whispered, "This is pointless." Yet when he finished, the workshop looked different, neat, welcoming, alive. Something about that small accomplishment sparked a strange feeling in him. The next day, he returned, and the day after that. At first, he was clumsy with the tools, frustrated by how long everything took. He wanted to quit almost every day, but Mr. Rowan had a quiet patience that steadied him. "Every masterpiece," the old man said, "begins with splinters." Weeks turned into months. Slowly, Eli learned how to measure, cut, and shape wood. He learned the rhythm of the saw, the scent of cedar, and the satisfaction of polishing a rough surface until it gleamed. It was hard work, but each day he saw progress. For the first time in his life, he wasn't waiting for results. He was working for them. One evening, as they finished sanding a table together, Mr. Rowan told him, "You remind me of myself when I was your age, lazy, lost, thinking the world owed me time. But time doesn't owe us anything. It's what we do with it that gives it meaning." That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He looked at his hands, blistered, rough, but strong, and realized that effort had given him something laziness never could: pride. The next morning, he got up before dawn and started working even before Mr. Rowan arrived. Eventually, the old man let Eli design his own project. Nervous but determined, Eli decided to build a chair for his mother. It took him weeks of planning, cutting, and rebuilding when mistakes ruined his progress. He thought of quitting several times, but each failure taught him something new. When the chair was finally finished, it wasn't perfect. The legs were uneven and the paint smudged, but it was his. When he brought it home, his mother cried. "You made this?" she asked. Eli nodded shyly. "It's not great, but it's a start." She smiled through her tears. "It's more than great, Eli. It's the first thing you didn't give up on." That night, Eli sat by the window, staring at the stars. He thought about how he used to waste his days dreaming about an easier life, not realizing that effort itself made life meaningful. Over time, word spread about the boy who learned carpentry from the old man. Neighbors began to ask Eli to repair things: broken tables, cracked fences, old shelves. He started charging small fees, not because he wanted money, but because he wanted to value his work. Years passed, and the lazy boy was no longer lazy. He opened a small workshop called the Growing Tree, named after the one he used to nap under. Every piece of furniture he made carried a small carving of a sapling, a symbol of growth through patience. He hired apprentices, most of them young kids who reminded him of himself. One day a student complained, "Why do we have to sand every surface 3 times? It's boring." Eli smiled, repeating the same wisdom once shared with him. Because growth doesn't look like much day to day, but one day you'll look back and realize you've built something strong. As the years went on, his business flourished. People admired not just his skill, but his story. Reporters interviewed him, asking how he turned his life around. He always answered simply, "I stopped waiting for motivation to find me. I started doing the work first, and motivation caught up." Deep down, Eli knew that laziness wasn't about hating work. It was about fearing failure. He had spent years avoiding effort because he was scared he wouldn't be good enough. But now, he understood that trying and failing was far better than never trying at all. The scars on his hands became his proudest badges, proof that he had shaped his own destiny one day at a time. Mr. Rowan passed away peacefully a few years later, and Eli built a bench under the oak tree in his memory. On it, he carved, "Every masterpiece begins with splinters." Whenever he felt tired or discouraged, he'd sit there, look up at the branches, and remember where he started. The boy who once napped beneath the tree now rested there only to dream bigger. Eli continued teaching others not just how to carve wood, but how to carve their future through patience, discipline, and heart. He told his apprentices stories about failure, about the mornings he didn't want to get up, and how he forced himself to anyway. "Success isn't magic," he'd say. "It's just small, boring efforts done again and again until they stop being small and boring." His students grew inspired, and some went on to open their own workshops. The lazy boy's legacy became one of action, kindness, and craftsmanship. And though he never considered himself a hero, many saw him as one, a living example that anyone, no matter how lost or unmotivated, could change if they chose to start, even with one small step. Years later, when Eli was old and grey, a young journalist asked him, "What was the moment that changed you?" He thought for a while, then smiled softly. "It wasn't one moment. It was every morning I decided to try again. Change doesn't happen in an instant. It grows, like a tree, slowly, quietly, but surely." And with that, he stood up, his knees creaking, and walked out into the yard. The oak tree was massive now, its branches spreading wide over the bench. He placed his hand on the trunk and whispered, "Thank you." The wind rustled the leaves as if in reply. Eli sat down, closing his eyes, feeling the warmth of the sunlight filtering through the branches. He thought of his younger self, the lazy boy who thought he had all the time in the world. He wished he could tell him, "Don't wait for life to happen, build it, one splinter, one breath, one effort at a time." And as the day faded into evening, Eli smiled, knowing he had done just that.